Hi, welcome to week 1 of Crawl. So as you know, we're going to do 3 12-week series of videos that are designed to help you get to your healthiest you. What you probably want to see is by the end of this, someone who is taking less and less medication, losing weight, getting healthier, breathing better, functioning better on a day-to-day basis, and that is what these are designed to do. Again, every person is different, and so of course keeping your doctor informed of something you'd like to try to do is always a good idea, because certain things he may need to refine. So for instance, if you have a thyroid condition like I do, cutting out iodized salt kind of cuts out a small amount of iodine that's in my diet, which he was fine with because on the grand scheme of things, table salt is way unhealthier than just taking an iodine supplement. So in my case, he asked that, yes, cut out the table salt. That's great. Go to a more natural, larger grained salt for less sodium content, but please start taking an iodine supplement, and the one I started to take is iodine derived from sea kelp. So it is a 3-step process, and this is week 1, so we are going to super crawl. We're not even going to crawl. We're the baby on the ground just kind of scooting on their belly, and that's good because that's where we want to be. Our goal is to absolutely succeed, and in order to do that, we have to do it right. So the first thing we're going to go over is our state of mind. So process number 1 for week 1 is our state of mind. And honestly, I know that this is a very hard thing to do, but it is the building block for everything that you will do for your mind. And that is to find a way to stay in a state of positivity all week in everything you do. It was the hardest thing for me to do, and I had no idea how much I was being so negative until I had to actively try to be positive. And I found that I was finding some little judgment in my brain about everything, or just making everything feel overwhelming when I didn't need to be, and overall needed to change a lot about my mental state. And so this is your challenge for the week. In everything you do, try to find a way to be your most positive. Even the worst things can be very positive in your life. You just don't know it at that moment. So number 2 is the body. This week's body crawl is going to be your water and salt intake. So these 2 things are going to do very drastic changes within your body. First, we'll talk about your water, and I suggest drinking filtered water. You need to know that our municipal water or city water or sourced water that our government and cities give to us into our homes is a very processed, highly chemicaled water that breaks down our sewage water and makes it drinkable. I know that that's a horrible thought to think about, but it's absolutely 100% true. And then in addition to that, large amounts of chlorine and fluoride are pumped into the water, which need to be there in order to make it drinkable, to be very honest. But those things really hurt and inhibit the body. As many chemicals as you can cut out of your system, the better. So I suggest switching to all filtered water, preferably filters that remove fluoride and chlorine. And I also suggest a pH water, and I'll tell you why. Because as we hydrate, the quality of our water absolutely matters. Hydration and levels of hydration come from the quality of the water we drink. Waters that are alkalized and pH balanced for our bodies have a greater absorption rate, consumption rate, and hold rate within our cells. So our cells see healthy water as something great and absorb and control and hold that water a lot better. It also helps to lubricate our joints better. pH water has been linked to healing the suffering of bursitis and arthritis and any joint problems, because it really helps to get the lubrication and the joint functions back up. So if you're suffering from any kind of joint problems, a pH water, prolonged use of a pH water could probably really help in your case. So we talked about water, filtered to remove chlorine and fluoride, and preferably pH balanced. I understand that this could be a costly process for you. So if it is, I have a tip to make it as least costly as possible. There is gallons of distilled water being sold at the grocery stores. They're 88 cents a gallon. So it's super, super cheap. You can buy 7. If you drink a gallon of water a day, you can buy 7 gallons in a week's visit for less than $7. Then you can buy a pitcher called the Santa Via water pitcher, and I will make sure to add that in a link in the comments for you. And that will alkalize and remineralize your distilled water, because remember that distilled water has all impurities pulled out of it. Distilled water is made from steam. So when you boil water, the steam that comes up, the particles of water are so small that they cannot even hold any chemicals in it. Fluoride, chlorine, nothing. It is legit, just completely clean water. Now keep in mind, it's also void of any minerals that you may find that come naturally in water. And minerals get picked up into water in nature by working its way through rocks and caves and through the ground and soil, and it picks up the minerals of the earth, and those minerals are important for our body. So this filter can help put those minerals back in, and it pH balances your water. The pitcher and the filter that goes in it for a I believe 6 months supply of filters is $20, and the pitcher itself is close to $40. So it's a one-time investment of about $60 for this pitcher, but you won't have to buy filter replacements for months. Next is salt. So the reason we are doing this in a 2-step process by changing our water intake and our salt intake is that they work together. Salt is a mineral that our body absolutely needs. And what most people don't know is there are about 12 different types of salt in the world. And some salts are healthier than others. They're healthier than others because of the environment that they're harvested in, and those salt crystals are grown in, allows it to have other minerals that other salts don't, which are very good for our bodies. And just know that each salt has a sodium content that is different. And most people who suffer from high blood pressure or water retention, it's because of the amount of salt in their bodies and the types of water that they're eating and consuming. So if you are consuming a water that is extremely chemical based and your body doesn't see it as a good absorption, and you're eating a lot of table salt, then your body is retaining and physically hurting, so you are swelling. Drinking a lot of water does not make you swell. Drinking a lot of water will actually help you lose weight. And that's because the body retains water when it thinks it's not going to get it. It's absolutely imperative to the body, and it needs to hold on to it. So the more water you're giving your body, the more your body relaxes and realizes it's going to get more, and it doesn't have to hold on to the water. And you will start seeing a drastic drop in your water weight. Additionally, sodium is really the culprit that makes salt so bad for you. Everybody hears salt is horrible for you. It causes cellulite, which it absolutely does. It causes high blood pressure, which it absolutely does. It makes me swell. It makes my mouth dry. My eyesight gets bad if I eat too much salt, and it's because you're dehydrating. And when your body dehydrates, it dehydrates from every fluid source in itself, which means your joints, your eyes are filled with a fluid, a viscous fluid. And yes, it's true. People who eat a lot of salt can have blurry vision, and there is a reason for that. But you need to know that salt is not always a culprit, and not all salts are as much of a culprit as another one is. So table salt, okay, I'm going to back up one little step further. Salt gets its sodium content by the size of its grain. So all salt pretty much has the same sodium content per grain. Table salt is the smallest grain there is. It's also highly refined because it's mined from deep inside the ground in the earth. And therefore it becomes kind of void in that like highly processed process of any real minerals or health benefits, but it's got a very high sodium content, which is why you only need a little bit to get that salty taste. And it's because the grains are so small that the sodium content is the same, but when your one grain is, I'm gonna find a piece of paper. So one grain is this big, has the same sodium content, which that's table salt, as sea salt, which is this big. So as you can see, if both of these have the same sodium content, but you can fit 10 times more of this salt into your spoon, then you're getting 10 times more sodium than with this salt. And every salt has a larger grain and a smaller grain, and those grains are what hold the sodium. So the Himalayan salt, your Celtic sea salts, your rock salts, all of your larger grain salts have less sodium, which is why when you use it, your food doesn't taste as salty. It's because it's void of as much of the sodium content. And the sodium is the part that actually does hurt our systems. So, because we're just consuming way too much of it. So if we can get ourselves to a point where we are consuming less sodium and intaking more good water, then we are already in the first week setting ourselves up for water, to lose weight because we're going to lose water retention, for feeling better because our blood pressure won't be as high. Our joints won't hurt as bad because we're not dehydrated and pulling from the areas of our body where it needs fluid the most. And this, just so you know, is not a week one thing and then you start it back up. Everything we do from here on out is something we never go back to, which is why we're doing it 1 week at a time. So for this week, we are going to drink a healthier water and we are going to eat a healthier salt. And we are going to make that our first change in healing our bodies. And I promise you, you will start to see a major difference. Our third thing is for our soul. It is our affirmation. And I do them, the very first thought that pops into my head in the morning, I try to make it be my affirmation. And that is because that's how you want to start your day, right? You want to start it on your best positive foot forward. And so this week's affirmation, every time you come into conscious memory of waking up, I want you to say, I deserve to be happy and healthy. And I promise you by the end of the week, you will not just be saying it to say it, you will believe it. You will be living it, because all it takes is for us to change our train of thought to change almost everything in our lives. And the fact that you've even started week one, the fact that you're willing to crawl, just shows that you're already in a more positive and straightforward mindset. And so I'm here to give you all the support I can, and here's to a healthier you. I'll see you for week 2.